Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the time, and I appreciate you pointing out that this was not a hearing about reducing autism funding. This is a hearing about making sure that every penny counts. I don't know who represents an area that is not full of moms and dads who want answers and want to make sure that every penny is being spent effectively. And candidly, to Mr. Connolly's point, Dr. Cross, when you have explosive things that come out in a report, I would argue that that GAO report has done more to focus the discussion on autism research and whether or not there are enough dollars there or not as anything. I have not seen the negative undercurrent. I've seen the very positive persuasion. But more importantly, whether doing your work and reaching your conclusions helps the autism research cause or hurts the autism research cause, GAO is not tasked with sorting that out. GAO is tasked with sorting out the answer to the question that in this case 4 senators asked and a law mandated. And I hope that the takeaway will never be that if there is a political point that you can make, that you should make it, or if there is an end that you can justify, you should justify it. We rely on GAO to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I am grateful to you all for the work that you do. To that end, thinking about those hundreds of hours that you all invested, Dr. Insel, I kind of think of that as the price of admission. I always hate to see dollars wasted on compliance. That's something that we fight on a regular basis in my part of the world. But when you're talking about $1.4 billion over a series of years, folks do want some accountability, and folks at home don't understand why DOD is working on part of this issue, and DOE is working on part of this issue, and NIH is working on part of this issue. Understanding that accountability is a part of what we all do, using this as the model. Dr. Cross has been criticized for making an observation, but not recommending solutions. You've made an observation about the time involved. Is there a solution to that?
It's essential that people, when they have a question, look at the evidence. I wouldn't contest that for a moment. But what I would contest is the importance of looking at all the evidence. Parts of the report are simply inaccurate or incomplete. And there's been an enormous work on looking at the accountability within the autism research funding stream. So we have this recent report, which is really an accountability report of our strategic plan that looks at every single objective, finds out how much was spent over every year, where the money has gone, how does that map onto what was planned. So and none of that, by the way, all of that was available last year. It's only recently been published, but GAO saw that. That was presented at the public meetings that the IACC held. Somehow that failed to make it into the report.
Well, my experience is, and yours may be similar, the report Congress does on its own success generally turned out pretty good. Turns out we think pretty highly of the work that we do. The work that outside groups do on our success sometimes don't come back quite as optimistic. I look at that report. It looks like it was prepared in-house. Is there a similar document that you would hold out as the be-all, end-all of outside examination of the IACC's work?
It's a great point, and it's important to realize the IACC isn't inside, isn't outside. This is made up of a whole range of stakeholders. By the way, they virtually never agree on anything, either with respect to autism or with respect to anything else. So this is their best attempt to take an honest accounting and evaluation of how the funding agencies had done. Half of this group, nearly half, are actually non-federal members, most of them family members, some people with autism itself. They're hardly cheerleaders for either the IACC or for the federal agencies.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want my time to expire without asking unanimous consent to enter the statement of Don Muller in the
Without objection, and you still have 5 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Don is the executive director of the Marcus Autism Institute, which is down in my part of the world, and I brag about the work that they do all the time. In fact, our school system that I represent, largest school system in the southeastern United States, has slots prepaid down there because of the work that they do and the importance of being able to find those limited resources available when we need them, because those there are not enough opportunities for folks to seek that help. But as I was reading your testimony, Doctor, I couldn't help but notice a reference to some eye tracking technology that sounded a whole lot like some of the things that I brag about coming out of the Marcus Institute. Am I right about that, or am I just a proud public servant bragging about the scientists and folks in his district?
You have every right to brag. That is a spectacular group doing fantastic work, and actually is probably the group that will open up this opportunity to diagnose autism before the first year. That's a game changer.
When we think about the dollars that go into it, and I appreciate what GAO did to help folks to get their minds around the many different baskets that dollars can go into. Candidly, the dollars that we spend on palliative care aren't all that inspiring to me. The dollars we spend on game-changing science, there's not a man or woman in my district who wouldn't say, Rob, I'll write the check. Tell me that what we're doing is making a difference. Tell me that it's going to be a game changer, and I will write the check tomorrow to do more. I think so often when I have conversations with lay people about autism, it is a conversation about treatment of symptoms, not a conversation about changing a life. And if we can use this opportunity and others to publicize it, celebrate it, get folks excited about it, again, there's just no limit to the power of the American people to invest in ideas that will change the future. To Mr. Connolly's point, yes, folks are worried about government waste, and the potential duplication is something that folks have on their mind. But we would not have the opportunity to talk about the ideas that we celebrate. We wouldn't have an opportunity to talk about the successes, at least not in this forum, but for the law's mandated report, the Senate's requested report. I'm grateful that we've had that time. Let me ask you, Dr. Cross, Director, Healthcare. You've heard Mr. Connolly's criticisms of what I would call the standard GAO process, right? This is what we fund you to do. Hearing those concerns, knowing that generally as we look around this room, this is a group of folks who all agree on the goal and who all want to get to that goal as soon as possible. Is there a tool that the GAO does not have in its quiver? Is there an arrow that is not in the quiver that you would have liked to have had to do something different in this report? Or did you do this report right the first time, given the mandate, and you would do it exactly the same way again?
I believe that we did exactly what we were requested to undertake, and that aligned with the mandate we've been given and the approach that is being used to look at fragmentation, overlap, and duplication that can occur across the Federal Government. If it has come across as tone deaf, that certainly is not our intention. We try to be very clear, and we try to be very precise in what we say and in what we don't say. And again, we did not call for reductions in funding. We did not say that the dollars being spent on autism research were wasteful.
Would my friend yield?
Be happy to yield.
I thank my friend. I just know for the record that, GAO, we rely on GAO a lot. So, but sometimes GAO, they're fallible too. They don't speak ex cathedra. I recall a situation where GAO reported that there were 56 federal financial literacy programs, and that went viral. They were wrong. There were not. They had to go back, and they admitted that, well, actually, maybe there were 12 or 13, but the damage was done. That's the concern I have. I thank my friend.
They're always looking for those areas of agreement, and certainly this research is one of those. I think Mr. Connolly is absolutely right when he talks about the power that lobbying has in making these decisions. I will tell you, Dr. Insel, when constituents come and ask for an earmark or a plus up in this area of NIH or that, I always tell them that we have tried to hire the absolute finest folks that the world has to offer. And if you believe that a lawyer trained out of the University of Georgia has more to offer to scientific research than the best minds on the planet, I'm happy to start making those decisions. But our goal is to find the very best folks, put them in positions of responsibility, then take every penny that we can find to dedicate in that direction and allow those folks who see where those areas of opportunity are to dedicate those dollars appropriately. I am grateful to the coordinating work that you do. I know you could be doing many other things with your time, but none that would have a greater impact on the men and women that I serve back home in Georgia, and I'm grateful to you for it.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I yield back.